In this chapter, we are going to create some environment details like some rock formations and plants. They will be really geometrical like the rest of the scene. So let's get to it right away. And first of all, I want to snap the cursor to the center of the scene. So I will hold Shift S and cursor to world origin. And now I will create a cube. So press Shift A and add a cube. And now we can go to the local view so the rest of the scene doesn't get in the way. So let's press slash on a numpad to isolate this. And now I want to go into the edit mode. So press tab, press S, and I will enter 0.3 to scale this down and confirm with enter. And now we can just duplicate this cube and lay it over. So it will maintain its geometrical nature, but it will be a little bit more interesting. So let's press Shift D and move it to the side a little bit. So I'll press Shift Z to lock on the X and Y axis and move it to the side a little bit like this. And now scale it down. And additionally, we can press G then Z and move it up. Okay, and now let's create one more duplicate. So Shift D and again Shift Z and move it to the other side, and we can move it down. So press G then Z and move it down, and maybe place it a little bit better. So G, Shift Z and move it like this. So this will be kind of a simple geometric rock, and we can now tab out and we can make it nice and smooth again by adding a bevel modifier. So let's go to the modifier tab and add the bevel modifier, and we can increase to 3 segments again. Now let's go to the shading section and enable those hardened normals. And now in the object data properties, let's enable auto smooth, shady smooth, and this will be our very simple geometrical rock. So we can now press slash key to exit the local view and place it around the scene. And we can use snapping for that. So let's go here and switch the snapping to face, and we'll check project individual elements. And now let's press G, and by holding Control, we can snap this all around the scene. So I want to move this here near this tree and create one more duplicate. So we have some rock formation here, but maybe we can move this tree to the side a little bit like this. And now by holding Control, we can press G and move this again and maybe make it a little bit larger. And now press Alt D, and by holding Control, we can snap this again and press R, Z 90 degrees and confirm. And let's make this smaller like that and move it in place a little bit better. Okay, and now I want to duplicate this original one once again. Alt D and move it to the other side as well. So we have some rocks here as well. And you can always move it up and down to create some nice stylized rocks. And we can now move some of these in the river as well. It will look good when there's some rocks peeking out of the water. So let's press Alt D and hold Control to snap it here. We can maybe make it larger a little bit. And let's rotate this. So R, Z, and I will rotate this 180 degrees like this and move it a little bit down. Okay, and we can move one to the other side as well. So Alt D, hold Control and move it here. And once again. Okay, I think this will work. So now we'll create kind of a stylized grass. So let's shift right click here to move the cursor there, and we'll create a capsule. If you have the extra objects enabled, it's very easy to do. We'll just press Shift A, go to the mesh, and let's create the round cube. And now in the round cube settings, we can switch the operator presets to capsule. And that's exactly what we are looking for, but we want to modify the number of divisions to something like 4 or even 3. So it's a little bit low poly. And now we can go into the edit mode, press S and scale this down like this. And let's look from the front. So press 1 on a numpad and period to focus the view. And now we can toggle the X-ray, press G then Z and move this up. So the origin point sits right here in the middle of this capsule radius. Now we can tab out, rotate the view a little bit. Let's toggle the X-ray again. Right click, shade is smooth. And now we want to duplicate this. So press Alt D and R twice, so we enable this trackball rotation, and let's just rotate it a little bit like that. And now press Alt D again, R twice, and rotate to the other side, maybe make it smaller a little bit. And now Alt D again and RZ, and rotate it like that. Maybe modify the rotation a tiny bit and make this smaller as well. And we can adjust the rotations so it's a little bit better distributed. And yeah, this will serve as a grass, basically a stylized grass made out of geometric objects. So let's just select them all with this one as last, and let's press Ctrl J to join them in one object. And now this will be very easy to distribute around the scene. First, we can make it a little bit larger, and then press G and use the same snapping, so hold Ctrl and snap the origin point and move it to the corner here. And now we can press Alt D, and by holding Ctrl, move this to the other corner, and I want to create one more right there. And you can always modify the size and the rotation to create some variation. So R, Z, and rotate those a little bit, maybe make some of these larger or smaller, basically whatever works for you and looks good. And now we can press Alt D again, and by holding Ctrl we can move this to the other side. And next to the tree I want to have two close together like this, maybe a little bit more size variations, so let's scale them. And Alt D once again, and by holding Ctrl I will snap this behind the tree like that, but still I want it to be visible, so I think this will work. And we can rotate this as well, so RZ, and rotate a tiny bit. And now let's duplicate to the other side as well, so Alt D, Ctrl, and snap it here. And one a little bit closer. And of course, some of them will be here as well. And this should be the last one. Let's scale them up a little bit. Okay, so that's for the grass leaves. And here on this place, I don't want to place another tree there. That will be too much, since I want to have a bench and lamps here. So that will be too much of an object that are taking attention. But something small will be fine in my opinion. And we can reuse the rock object and create kind of a bush or something. And again, really stylized and geometrical. So let's select this rock and press Shift D this time. We don't want to create a link duplicate there. And hold Ctrl and snap it here. And we can bring it up a little bit. And we can modify it. So going to the edit mode, let's click away to deselect and hover over the middle one and press L. And now we can duplicate this, move it to the side a little bit, and bring it up. So it has a little bit more of the geometry. And now we can rotate this maybe 90 degrees. And this can serve as kind of a stylized bush or something. You can even drag some faces around, so it's not only cubes. And I think this will look great in the end. So these are the details. And now I want to tidy up the scene a little bit and name the object. But since we created so many of them, there's an easy way how to do this. If you select all of the rocks one by one, and now press Ctrl F2, that will open a batch rename dialog, and you can switch this to set name. And instead of suffix, we just want to create a new name, and let's call this rock. Click OK, and you will see all of the objects will get renamed to rock with number suffix. And now we can do the same for the grass. So just select those one by one, press Ctrl F2, and let's name this grass. And if you don't want to have the collection too cluttered, you can create a new collection for that. So let's press M, move into the new collection. Let's call this rocks and grass. And we can additionally move the rocks there as well. So press M and pick the collection. So now this looks much better. And this one we can rename to bush. And that's all there is to it, and we can now move on to the next part.